Hey guys, I'm Sarah. This is my first webcast ever. I just got my webcam today. I had ordered it a few days ago. Finally came in. The reason why I'm doing a webcast is because I've been debating about it for a couple of years. I've been thinking about it, going back and forth, thinking people wouldn't really want to see me. People might be interested in what I'm saying. I want to rant. I want to share my opinions without people going, "You're stupid," which once I post this, it's internet. Anyone can say anything they want. So, the reason why I'm doing this is primarily because I want to share with you my own opinions and reviews and stuff I do. The first thing you need to know about me is I'm a writer. I love to write. Ever since 4th grade, I love to write. So I have an account with hubpages.com where I will be posting anything I write. I have 2 stories right now, 2 short stories up on it. Rainy Bus Ride, which is kind of boring. It was something I had to write for a creative writing class, but I posted it. Some people might like it. Who knows? The other one is River of Love and Death, which it's kind of sentimental. It's from the point of view of a river, and the river is trying to figure out what love is. Because a river doesn't know what love is. It's nature. But it's from, like I said, the point of view of a river, and the river is experiencing love through all these people that come to it. I mean, who hasn't walked along a river or an ocean or walked along the beach with someone they love? So, I like it. It's a good short story. I enjoyed writing it, and it's on my hub pages too. The other thing I like to do is I teach. I teach music. I teach the violin, viola, piano, and when I have students, I teach kinder music classes. I teach at a place called Musical Beginnings, and you can look it up. It's a fun place. There are a lot of teachers, a lot of opportunities, and I like to make jewelry. I'm not like a professional or anything, so sorry if I ever show you stuff. Please understand that I am an amateur. The first thing, I like to make chainmail. This is called a coif pendant pouch. That's a jade stone inside. And that was actually the first thing I made chainmail. I've got a couple other examples of chainmail right here. Like, I'm taking this apart because I didn't like how this turned out, but this is chainmail. Nice and strong chainmail. You can see other examples of my work at DeviantArt. I am Ethrial-Dragon, and I'll post a link if I can figure out how. If I say count how many times I say because I'm trying to figure out how many times I say it without realizing it. So, like I said, I have an account with DeviantArt. I like to draw. I've got my own drawing pad. A cheap one, but it's Wacom, so it's good. It was a gift for getting my associates. So, anyway, okay, so I told you about the jewelry, I told you about the hub pages, so now we're going to move on to the actual thing I'm going to talk about today. I like to read, and I'm in college right now, so it's kind of hard to have time to read stuff other than my textbooks, and I'm an English major, so I've got a lot of textbooks. 15 for 3 classes, so it's a lot of reading. Anyway, so I actually had time to read this new book that I had. This is based off Fable 3 the game, just lost. Fable 3 the game. It's an awesome game from the reviews, and my friend told me it's an okay game. It's good and really different from the previous 2 games. The book, on the other hand, I loved the book. Awesome book. If you have to read a book, a random book, this is perfect. If you like action and adventure, if you don't like action and adventure, then I'm sorry, it's not the book for you. The book does not follow the typical boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, boy saves girl from rampaging monsters. It is a book based on the developing characters and their choices, much like the games. If you make a good choice, then eventually you become a positive aligned character. If you make a bad choice, you become a negatively or evil aligned character. This book follows two characters. Actually, I'll explain that in a minute. The two main characters are Thomas and James. Two, I want to say teenage boys based on the time period. Thomas has just reached manhood. So he's like an adult. And James is only 2 years behind. So but because of his maturity, I'd say he's an adult. We follow their journey. It doesn't really take that long. I'd say only a few weeks, actually, in the story. But here's the interesting part of the book. The other two characters we're following are an old king and the storyteller, or the teller of fables. The old king is being told the story of Thomas and James. The storyteller meets the king one day, and the king is very old. I mean, he's like way old, arthritis, old. The storyteller says, I have something to tell you about heroes. And these two end up being heroes. And the king listens, and that's who we know who the narrator is. The confusing part about this book is the first chapter. If you don't know what's going on or how this book is written, the first chapter is way confusing. The first chapter is written in first person, from the view of the old king. And so his chapters are all italicized, so we know that we're listening to the old king and the old storyteller. It's, like I said, it's told by the storyteller, who's our narrator, he's telling the story to the old king. The rest of the story follows James and Thomas, which is all normal text. And so the reason why it's confusing is because you don't think, when you see this chapter, when you see the cover, you don't think old king. You think you're actually going to follow these two, which we do. The storyline, the plot line, Thomas and James are best friends. James is really Thomas's servant, but they're more like friends. Thomas, as a boy, was attacked by a Balverinr, which, to the rest of the world, doesn't exist. It's a Fable mythological creature. And Thomas's brother is killed. No one believes him. And his mother dies insane. His mother thinks that it was really his brother that survived and Thomas had died, and it really hurts Thomas. So Thomas decides to go on an adventure to find the Balverins and to get his revenge for his brother, because he's been having nightmares about them forever. So James convinces Thomas to let him go with him. They go on this adventure, and this book is all about choices, like I said. We see their choices, the choices they make. Thomas becomes good aligned, and James becomes negative aligned, evil aligned. Which is kind of surprising, because James is the intelligent one. He's the one that knows how to read people. He's good at reading people. He's good at reading their emotions. And Thomas, well, actually, he has imagination. He reads too many books. And we just follow their journey to find the Balverins. They eventually find the Balverins, and I'm not going to tell you what happens. You have to actually read the book. But the ending of the story ends with, we go back to the old king and the storyteller. And throughout the book, we actually run into them again. We listen to them talking. And we find out who exactly, not exactly though, he doesn't admit who he is, but we find out who he is, if you're paying attention. So it gets confusing, because we'll sometimes break off from the actual story and go back to the Old King and Storyteller. And I'd say you can skip those chapters and go straight back to the story, but you can't, because the Storyteller actually tells part of the story in first person, which is annoying. I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to be distracted by first person. I really don't like first person. I'm a third person kind of person. So after that, we find out, and the book ends. It's a good ending. I love the ending. It's a great book. But I wanted to scream my head off afterwards. The ending is not exactly a cliffhanger, but it feels like it. It leaves me off wanting to play the game because there's so much left out in the actual story, and so much left out in the ending that I want to find out what happens. I really do. Because there's just this huge jump in the ending. It just, you know something's going on. You know there's something going on, but you don't know because it's not in the book. This is a book that you could make a sequel of because it's such a good book. So that's the book. I definitely suggest this book to anyone who enjoys action-adventure and anyone who's played the game. You just lost again, if you weren't paying attention. So if you've played the game, I would suggest this book. It's Fable. It's just called Fable. The Balverinr Order by Peter David. Based off the game. And it's a good book. Oh, and if you have the game and you go out and get this book, you get a special weapon, limited edition weapon, with a code. So that's about it for me today. Thank you for watching. If you've been counting how many ums I say, great. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, awesome. You can find me in several places. I have a Facebook. I have my hub pages. I Twitter sometimes. I have a DeviantArt, and I have a Drag Cave account for people who like to play Drag Cave. It's an adoptables game. You catch dragons, you raise them from eggs, you breed them, you name them. I enjoy it. Anyway, the forums, you can find me as Ethrial Dragon, and I think that's about it. So, I will post this, and you guys can watch, and if no one watches it, that's fine. I might be keeping a journal type thing with this, so if you don't like journals, I don't really know how to do journals, so this is more like going to be me ranting, raving, whatever. I'm not really going to try to do a journal because I don't like journals. I can never keep a journal. Journals always seem to die with me. So, thanks for watching, for those who did. If you didn't watch, boo-hoo, oh well. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.